Hey guys, today I'm gonna be showing you how you can color baggy sweaters because personally I've always found them somewhat difficult to color, so I thought I'd make a tutorial on how to do that. In the future I'll be making more of these tutorials, of course, so if you're interested in seeing that, please continue watching. First, create a new layer on Multiply and ensure that this is a clipping mask so it doesn't go outside of the lines. Today, I'm going to be using the Tailored Classic Line Art brush, which is available for free in my Gumroad. And we can begin the shading. So as you will see, when I continue, I make little lasso shapes and then use the blending tool to blend out the outer edges of it. And as you can see, I'm doing this where the collar is, and I will also do this where there are any points of tension, such as the inner armpit area, around the waist, and arms. And for the most part, I'm just going to continue this step and repeat it, just continuing to make those lasso shapes and then erasing the outer edge. And another important detail is that I like for the end to be very soft and then the sides of it to be nice and sharp. So use your erase tool to keep those sides nice and clean and sharp. And there's always going to be more wrinkles around the points of tension as the places I mentioned before, so try and keep the spaces where it is being occupied by mass relatively wrinkle free, because of course if something is placed underneath fabric, the tension is going to create the surface, is going to make the surface smooth. And as you can see here, I am adding shadows going directly from the center of the chest all the way down and making sure it's flowing in the direction of where gravity is going to naturally pull it, which is towards the floor. And of course this will change depending on how your character is sitting or standing, but because for simplicity this character is just standing up straight. And as you can see in the chest area, I am keeping that space free of any shadows and wrinkles to demonstrate there is mass underneath of it, as shown in that example image that was on the screen previously, but I will put it again. And I like to keep the shadows in the center of where the torso is relatively light, and then darker towards the areas where there are corners present, and that is the areas such as armpits and the waist region. And the arms are a similar story because there is a lot of loose material in that area, so I am keeping them nice and soft like the center of the torso and chest region. And if you noticed, I just created a new layer, and I do this when I want to do shading that may accidentally go over other pieces of shading I've done, and I don't want to ruin those shadings, so I like to create a new layer whenever I'm doing shading in a sort of risky place like this. And whenever something is looking too harsh, just go in with a soft airbrush, or in my case, my blending brush, and erase away until it's nice and soft. And now I'm just going to repeat that same thing on the other arm. Now I'm just looking around and adding any more shadows where I think would fit, and here it is just some wrinkles connecting the collar to where the armpit wrinkles are coming out of the armpit. And you can't forget the shading on the, what are those called? On the sleeves. Yeah. And as you can see, if you imagine the sleeves as a 3D object, the center is the tip or point or apex of that object. So you're going to want to place shadows on each side, on the left and right of that sleeve, so it looks like it is coming to a point. And now I created a new layer on multiply, and I just filled the entire layer with that same color shade we were using, and I'm erasing on the upper half of the chest, and then also just using a soft airbrush to erase around the edges so it's not as harsh. And you will see in a second I will erase around the corners of the shirt so it creates a sort of edge lighting effect, and you want that layer to be fairly transparent because you only want it to be a subtle, very subtle effect. Next I go on a new layer, and the blending mode for this one is on add, and I am going around all the edges of the entire clothing piece just because I enjoy how this looks. This isn't necessary, but I personally just do it. And also, if you can use this for dynamic lighting effects if you take into account the light source, though in this case I'm just doing it around all edges of the clothing. Now I'm going to create a new layer once again and go in with a cool tone shade, in this case a blue, and I'm going to lightly brush it around the shadow parts of the shirt, and I'm just altering the color a bit because once again I want this to be a very subtle effect, and I find that this color variation just creates a nicer effect in my opinion. You don't have to do this also, but I always do this in my art pieces. And once you do that, you are done. Anyways, I hope that this tutorial could have been of use to you, and if you are interested in any more of my tutorials, please subscribe, or or if you would like a very in-depth tutorial / course, please check out my new Class 101 class. It is available to try for free, so I will leave all those links below for you. And that is all for me, guys, so goodbye.